Welcome back to episode Welcome back to episode 4. We've had some trials and tribulations this week, but it was still an excellent week of training. I was doing a 50-miler, which was definitely the highlight for the week, and I was down in Cape May, New Jersey, and my power pedals died like 30 minutes in. So I had no power data and just kind of went off heart rate, which was fine. So still got the work in, which was good. And then my trainer bike has definitely not gotten the tender love and care, the TLC that it deserves. So I took it into the shop to get serviced, and I got quoted for an outrageous service. So we're trying to figure out what's next for that. Today, I just wanted to talk about strategy and expectations and kind of go over the course overview for Maryland and just kind of get a sense of what to plan for. And I have pulled up my race strategy that I worked out with my coach from September for my last 70.3. And I have the course overview pulled up and a couple of tips and tricks that somebody had an article on. So we'll kind of go over a little bit of that, but basically the swim course is just one big loop, and on the way out, it's against the tidal current. So if I can average like 2 minutes per 100 yards on the way out, and then like 150 on the way in, I average around 155. My goal is 151 average per 100. That would be absolutely ideal. That would be kind of the goal. Now, the expectation, I would say, is that it's going to be a little bit slower because I'll be very nervous because of all the talk of like jellyfish. I don't know if I'm allergic to jellyfish. And of course, I went online and was like, yeah, you can go into like anaphylactic shock. And I'm like, I'm in the water. I'll probably be freaking out. I probably won't even, like, my heart rate will just go up because I'm more nervous than anything. And I'm not even going to be like allergic. But I am allergic to a lot of things, and I get allergy shots, and I take antihistamines every day, like twice a day. So I'm just like kind of going in already a little nervous about the jellyfish. Now, hopefully, if I don't start in the front pack, then I can just let other people get stung and kind of clear my path and maybe just sit behind someone. Hopefully, I will be allowed to wear the wetsuit. Obviously, that adds buoyancy. And then, also, it would protect parts of my body from getting stung. Obviously, not my face or my arms because it's a sleeveless one. But maybe there will be a miracle and there won't be any jellyfish around me, at least. So we'll see. But that's the goal for that. And then I'll have roughly 3 to 4 minutes in transition, and then just kind of hop on the bike as fast as possible and get out there. This is definitely the biggest portion of the race for me in terms of, like I was saying, like focus and energy, because it's my strongest discipline. So I definitely want to burn a ton of matches here while being cognizant of the run. Obviously, we want to save our legs a little bit. If I want to hit my time goal of around 2 minutes and 2 hours and 35 minutes, I will need to average around 22 to 23 miles per hour. I'm not exactly sure how all that works out in terms of like wattage, but an aggressive bike for me back in September would have been around 200 watts, trying to keep my heart rate around 150 to 155. So I think I ended up going around like 192-ish watts, and I kept my heart rate under 145 with the anticipation of having a really massive run. Unfortunately, at the time, I had cramps in my calves, so I couldn't really push on the run, which we'll get to later. So my functional threshold power, FTP on the bike, has gone up 10 watts in the past 8 months. So I'm hoping that an aggressive bike, keeping my heart rate still under 155, would be around 210 to 215, which should be enough with the aero bike. If the winds aren't bad, if the crosswinds aren't bad, I should be able to do 22 watts pretty comfortably onto the top end of my zone 2, zone 3, which would get me in my time of 235. If I'm taking inventory on how I'm feeling and I need to back off a little bit, hopefully the extra time spent on the bike will allow me to have a faster run. So that's kind of the expectation there, is around 210, 215, and hopefully that puts me in my 235 range. And then for the run, if all goes well, it'll be around an hour 45, which I think is around 8 minutes per mile. And the run course are pretty flat. So I think it's 2 loops, and if we can just break those loops up into smaller portions, hopefully I can just be trying to think of it as like 5Ks and just try and hit my splits that way. So that's the goal, 145, 8 minutes per mile, if all goes well. And then hopefully the transition in the bike will be around 2 minutes, which would get me under like 458 if all goes well. So I'd be getting my sub 5 goal. So how am I going to fuel for this race? I'll have 2 scoops of the Infinite Fuel 15 minutes before the swim. So that'll be around 120 carbs. And then I'll have 2 scoops in each bottle on the bike, along with the aid station water. So that'll get me another 240 on the bike, which should be good for 2 hours. And then I'll probably hit a gel, which is around 40, which has 100 milligrams of caffeine. So that'll kind of prep me for the run a little bit, because usually a caffeinated gel kind of peaks around 40 minutes in terms of like the caffeine. So hopefully once I hop off the bike and transition, I'll start to really get the benefits of the caffeine. And then in T2, kind of assess, crush some water and some salt tablets, and just really, really, really stay on top of not just fuel, but electrolytes. And then on the run, I'll do 2 bottles of 90 grams. So I'll do of carbs. So that'll be 180. And then for miles 8 and 12, I'll have 2 gels, or 1 for each of those. So that'll be another 80. So 40 to 80, kind of depending. I might not need the gel at 12 because it's only obviously like another 8 minutes of running. So we will kind of see how the gut's working. That'll be around 560-ish total carbs for the race, which in terms of hours would be around 112 to 115. So it's really just going to come down to hydration, I think, because if I don't cramp and I stick to my fuel strategy, which I've never had problems like sticking to my fuel strategy. I don't know if it's like the Crohn's disease in me, but my stomach does really well and I feel good about making sure I'm hitting those times when I need to fuel. I've seen a lot of people start to do kind of like water calculations when they are training to see how much water and they're actually losing via sweat. And it does take a little bit of meticulous tracking what you're actually taking in over the course of that training, and then obviously subtracting that out and weighing yourself before and after. So I think the next video for week 5, I'll kind of touch a little bit on the training. I have another long ride on Sunday, which hopefully will be another 50 miles, and then the run on Saturday. So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But the main thing will be discussing what my sweat rate is. Like I said, I sweat like crazy. So I just feel like if I have a better understanding of how much water I need and that I'm going to be losing in conditions like this, that'll kind of be hard to simulate accurate, obviously because it's March, so it's probably not going to be like 85 degrees outside, but hopefully I will be able to use what I find in these conditions and then kind of just extrapolate from there. that was all I had for today. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully that was insightful. Hopefully I can really thread the needle on the bike this year and actually like crush the 56 miler and still have enough in me for an hour and 45 half. But we will see. We're going to continue training, continue lifting. I've been kind of falling back in love with going heavy in the gym, so that's kind of a win. But anyway, this has been episode 4. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe as always. Leave a comment if you'd like.